step. Then the entomology mollusk collection, we may or may not peek in, but we won't go into the ento collection. They've suggested we don't. The smell will make people faint. Yeah, so I don't need to, you're not here to tekan people, right? This one is just a grand send-off for this block we are standing on. Then we cut across the wet collection where random things may be open. We can take a look and maybe decide what you want to open up. But if there's something open, it will be dramatic, hopefully. And if you're able to come like half an hour early, you can pop down and see. Then, at the end of the wet collection, we'll exit to the outside. And then climb the steps on the outside. And it'll bring us back up there, where in the library there's a prep room. So Kate is doing the prep. You'll meet her that day lah. If you're doing evening tour or lunchtime tour.
Lunchtime tour most likely.
Lunchtime tour most likely lah. Evening is not sure. And then come back from the outside and come around here. Now one thing we probably would do in the evening tour is to have the gallery door on the side here open. Because walking along the edge, that place can be slippery because of the algae, whatever lah. So
In case it rains.
people are, in case it rains, we can make adjustments. I will later go through the roster. Remind me, okay? I need to go through the roster. I need to sign some of you up for additional. If it works out that we are fairly nimble and we got like 4 people, even better, right? Okay, so right now some sessions only have 1 person. Or he's volunteered to be here every lunchtime. So that's okay, but we will need, I think like Wei Song will be fun lah, especially when you're in campus, we might need to put extra shift. Strange foods. So why is it strange to things people eat? Because strange foods is from what perspective, right? In fact, the fact that we're eating monoculture is strange, right? So this was natural food thing.
Fried butter. Must try. We go to Sarawak.
We have to change the route.
So a dinosaur got nothing to say, it doesn't matter. Just say, okay, this one,
In 2014.
wait, who knows? So actually the acquisition of the dinosaur is 3 individuals, right? And then, no, I mean the fact is, it didn't come, okay, Leo, listen up. So the interesting thing about the dinosaur is like, why have a dinosaur? You can say that some of the local scientists actually think it's just taking up space because they want to get to Bali. But dinosaur always is an attractant. And the special case of this dinosaur, I mean, it wasn't just that we were interested, they were quite interested in giving it to us as well. And in fact, they passed us some early parts which we were supposed to, it's not really clear, it's almost as if we are supposed to like give to a major donor, so he ends up giving 80 million. But the people here, they see vertebrae, they don't want to let go. And they worked it out, they kept the vertebrae and they got the money. Really, when the vertebrae come and see, they're really excited. Hey, come and see. Then they forced me to take photo. I was like, whatever, man.
Will they ask how much is the...
No. What? How much was the what?
12 million.
How much for the dinosaur?
Okay, dinosaur, you don't have to know anything. Tell them, you go read, then you tell me, okay? The important thing is 3 individuals together, family or not family, we'll discuss when the museum comes up. The people wanted us to have it rather than go to private institution and all that. So actually, we went past a couple of delays, but they really wanted us to have it. They want where the public can access. So a lot of people involved in this business are into that kind of outlook. And then finally, it's Della Lee who said, okay, I pay. Is it Della Lee?
Yeah, Della Lee's the wife.
What's the name? Della Lee. Right? So it's really a Lee and Lee thing here. So she decided, okay, what?
Her own foundation.
Yeah lah. So she said, I'll pay. Then she settled with them.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. There was a leg here.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
So okay, you're veteran guys. Say if you're a bit old, maybe I mean the young people you can pretend you're a veteran guy. They say a bit old, if I get the label wrong, you correct me please. Then they'll be more excited.
So what is this one?
Okay, this one, okay. So these were fiberglass casts. In the original gallery, there were very few things which are fiberglass glass. We'll get students to go and look for it. And one giveaway is the reflective light. But this one, you know, they got it from some guy in Phuket. So his approximation of the thing was very good. So modern fishermen all want to get fiberglass casts and go home. So they had a few. So our problem was we were initially having problems convincing people that things are all natural. So how do we cope with that? We said there are very few things which are unnatural. You go and find, and then you'll find out, and they eventually realize light reflects.
This one? Can link to the photograph over there.
What?
The grouper is there.
The original.
Okay.
Original grouper.
Original.
Okay, a couple of things. One is that one is from the original. What's the name of the place? Called it's Stamford Road. What's it called? Name? Before National Museum was?
Raffles.
No. Complete name is?
Collections and
Zoological Reference Collection.
No, the ZRC is here. It's here.
National History.
Raffles Library and Museum. Remember, Raffles Library and Museum gave birth to Library, National Archives, Singapore History Museum, or NAMOS, or whatever is it they're calling it now. And then the Zoological Collection, which then went on its wandering years before ending up here only in '86. So actually, when it came here, it's quite a big deal. The curators are struggling to keep everything together. Some part of the collection was at Bukit Timah campus, some part was at Kent Wing, you know, of NUH in Nissan Huts. There's a tiny photo in the webpage. Then when NUH got built, it got moved. The other thing is those pictures, you know, to reflect the Karang-Guni nature of the current Raffles Museum, is the National Museum set up a display. We passed out the specimen, then when you're done, we took whatever you could salvage back. So I'm thinking the grouper mum was also one of the things we salvaged back. Okay, this one, this leathery turtle you see is stained because somebody tried to wash it. Okay, the dearly departed Mr. Yo. It's one of those accidents. Yeah, it's not supposed to look like this. You know, so Kate actually is quite a valuable element. You know the tiger,
He even added new claws.
Okay. So, pointer lizard, look at the claws. That one is new.
Yeah, new claw.
Oh, manicure.
She's very good. You can see what she's been doing later.
Okay, you know tiger no whisker because
By
Fire.
visitors.
this one was public display, so people will pluck. So no more. But over the years, people have donated their stuffed tigers in varying conditions. Before it comes in the museum, it actually needs to be treated like smoked and all that. Because it's been out in the wild. So in the past, there were people who did this. Can you see bullet hole?
Yeah.
Okay, then anything else?
This was a Black Panther, right? This was
Yeah. This is actually realistic form, and but some of the Black Panthers are not completely black, but this definitely was some color. But you can see taxidermized. The difference in taxidermized collection. So one of the problems we have with Lee Kong Chian and Tracy Museum is we don't really have a wide taxidermic collection to restock that museum. But it's a teaching museum, and it's been approached from the teaching undergrad. So hopefully the public won't be too upset us. Decide anything interesting. The macaque is recent, right?
This is Singapore, right?
The macaque has a very interesting wild eye look.
Wow, it's erect penis.
With that mouse here.
So funny.
And from afar, it looks like got mucus coming out of the nose.
And the teeth look a bit funny.
Okay, so then taxidermy is a combination of art and science. And a true taxidermist would have a cupboard full of eyes, right? And it needs to get the orientation of the wires behind the taxidermy specimen so that it looks lifelike. It's not easy. And so the tiger is very well done. actually.
Civet go.
So usually the structures like that, you can see the teeth, so the skull is inside. But they definitely need to remove organs. So that's quite tragic for us because organs actually have data. Stomach contents have data. Can I share?
Tridacta?
Tridacta. Hey, the
Sorry, wasn't this the one that the ONS class lugged back from Tioman 1 year?
Many
Years ago. This one. It's
Yeah.
first biopiracy.
From Tioman.
Used to have tons of
no,
it.
not piracy, because but the label is
This
missing.
is actually fossilized. This is actually it's fossilized.
Wait, the label is missing because the year was what?
1960s.
Yeah. So Oyi was with the group that pulled this back. Now for the longest time, this was actually back at the department, and this was where if you fill in IEC, you see you know this name, Dr. John Fuller. So he will come out of what is the block S1A, and then he will go on the railing, and then 1 foot he will put on this thing lah. Okay, but then this one was filled with potted plants, cactus and all that lah. So you put on there and then you smoke and then So when we opened the gallery, no, I always have my eye on the thing lah, but it's stone and all that, so it's quite okay, right? So I opened the gallery, we took trolley, go, come on, I told Mr. Yo, come with me, go, then quickly, leave the thing onto the trolley, then bring, Then come back here and I washed it in bleach. So then my clothes started getting shredded and changing colour. But Mr. Yo really had a good, you say, let's go to the quiet, he said, okay man, let's go. The public must see this. He had really all these museum principles in him. These are slides from Singapore. They used to illustrate habitat, right? So this is Mandai mangrove and mudflat, right? And this area is unprotected, but it's under the category nature area, which will be the last piece they go and interfere with. Because MParks will try and fight internally and we will fight externally. So you can see those buildings are actually in Johor. I think this slide was from, it's from Jeff Lowe. It's like one reasonably clear.
The Raffles cabinet.
I think it's from Raffles Lighthouse.
The Raffles cabinet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
This was
we
actually
gotta
this was
you
the
gotta figure out the
introduction.
lighting, so that we turn it on.
Yeah, this one actually, because it's not supposed to be here, so...
No, I mean the cabinet has light, so the cords are just not plugged in. So we'll go behind and turn it on.
Anyway, the binturong is there's a prehensile tail. You can move in front.
Oh, binturong, right? This is a Raffles species. There's one apparently at large in, is it one or two? Two at large in the Siglap area.
Siglap.
Yeah, they are no, for many years since the honours year. So
Really?
I saw them in the wild in Malaysia. So at the University of Malaysia, there are a few stations. So in the bushes, suddenly you'll see this black tail walking around.
So that's in the Siglap. Yeah, go your night walk. You go look up. Because we got very, very convinced people. Over the years, there'll be a convinced person or two, very clear.
I used to bathe them
So we
in
need
the zoo.
to verify it's not.
Oh, really?
Surviving well.
I saw them in
So
Taman
originally we were
Negara
supposed to
Which one?
because they were eating the potato chips
Okay, this
in the
one.
height.
This one for habitat, we decided to reflect deep sea trenches due to, we were involved with the Taiwanese and all that, and we are acutely aware that there's a whole biodiverse areas below the sea where you can't see, and then by the time they surface, they're in really bad condition and all that lah. So this was just a hat tip to the fauna of deep sea, which comes up and looks quite beat up, but it's studied by scientists who go on these fishing boats and pull away all the nasty looking stuff. It's quite beat up by the time you get it lah. Then this one is just the bill length thing. Yeah. And then this one, think about this. This is a mud flat. You differentiate from a mangrove. So therefore, Mandai, when we talk about conservation of Mandai, is Mandai mangrove and mud flat. Different ecosystem. This mud but no trees beyond the tree line. And all these little patches you see are tube-worms. Right. And so it's a buffet table for these guys. And then this is. Okay, this one is Johor, but then this is Singapore. This is Senoko. So when we were on bicycle the other day, passing by Kranji, we slowly got closer and closer to Soloco, but then eventually we veered away. Why? So we got closer and closer, so taking photo, getting closer and closer, almost to the source, then I veered away. Why? The stench of garbage. I couldn't take it already. I was like, never mind, let's let it go.
The banded leaf monkey, this is not that female, right? This is not the last female, right?
No.
The one is the pickled one, right?
Where's that one?
The last female is the pickled one, right?
Huh? Yeah, it's a
It
pickled
used to
one.
be here,
Yeah.
but it's
The
gone
one
now.
that looks quite potential.
Hyoks Cobra lost money. And then they will come back just for classes. So this block was built and ready in 1987. Okay, and then the museum, the dry collection, they were shelving the specimens back into the cabinets in 1987. Okay, I know because that's the year I came to NUS lah. So my college girls told me, and then I was one of those people shelving specimens, directed by Miss Loa. Okay, so that was 87, and the cabinets, the dry collection cabinets were custom built. They are electronic, and it was unique. And in fact, Mrs. Young, the curator at the time, would conduct many product tours for people interested in using the compactors, which the Japanese asked her to do. I heard they made a loss. They didn't even know how to charge us. Right, so when I was shelving, the Japanese technicians were still around. Okay. Then this space was where undergrads would study. It was a corridor with benches. Yeah, and then this got acquired for Chris' temporary office, and then it was handed over to the museum. So there are people within senior admin who made sure the museum got this space lah. And then the gallery opened in 2001. So 15 June 2001. Yeah, it doesn't really matter lah, those people. But right, yeah, I mean okay lah. The good thing is by Chian. No, Tony Tan is the original museum. So when this building was set up, then one of the first museum creators, Tweedy, came. So it depends on your crowd lah. Some people like whatever, right? Show me the crocodile. Then please don't go into that. But you can give them an idea. This represents not just the museum but the library. So that one is 1987. Then this gallery, which is corridor space, so it's very uniquely Singapore, right? This one was 15 June 2001, and then we would get enmeshed in Chek Jawa immediately after. Actually, the first Chek Jawa recce was May. Then I couldn't go because we were setting this up. So immediately after, we went into the surveys for Chek Jawa and then the public walks. The garden space outside, that used to be a shortcut for people from IMCB. So when I wrote to fight for that space to become a garden, I indicated, they didn't want to let us, then I indicated that we have sacrificed public space for other purposes, meaning this corridor lah. So I said, I lost this corridor, students lost this corridor to study, you made it into office, now at least you're returning it to students. So that one should be returned to a larger, and I did counts lah. So I remember 2 AM writing like 7 paragraphs, then they give up. It's okay. Because it was actually not so safe also, for a shortcut for IMCB, right? And they might want to know, or you can tell them, the ridge, we are just in front of the ridge. Okay? Alright, so any questions about this? This was for what, right? What's this? If you got a question, ask. If not, I won't bother because you should. No, variation. So you see they collect, you see the dots, it's on different parts. This is one reason why you have a drawer full of similar species. Well, partly they didn't know they all collecting and all come together, but even when they did, they collect variation, and then this is how we begin to understand subspeciation. Is it same, different? And then the DNA subsequently now is playing its role in differentiating what we thought was many species. So in fact, if you go look at old texts, they will say like, 27 new species of mammals and all that. Many of them we collapse into just maybe 1 or 2, right? But so variation from is geographic isolation. So there's a bird example and the squirrel example, and then you can tell them these are meant for the drawer. These are specimens. So they're not taxidermized, which is made to use, made to appear lifelike. So that's why they look instead as if you're caught in a raid, right? It's like you go to the backwater and then you run out all the women.
Surrender.
Hey, for the quality staff,
What
and
colour
of
are
course,
these
you must also indicate that every
Could be
specimen
professional collectors.
is eternal for as long as a museum stands, unless destroyed by fire or whatever. So it has a specimen tag attached to it, and these labels indicate. You can see the labels and the year and how old it was. So it depends on. The stories are there. It's up to you to utilize according to your crowd, your spacing, and all that. These are from Pamela Conder. So she came here and she was doing some painting, and then I sat down and talked to her at great length. This one not for the audience, this for you, which is why otters are so prominent. Right? But the thing about her thing is she used mixed media. So she has put in, this is from Raffles, there was scarcely an unknown animal in Sumatra, whether bird, mammal or fish that we did not have on board. This would be on board the fateful Fame, which will go down in flames. And then she got that from the original drawing. You can see the area of his influence, the map is there. Right? So this is all about Raffles, things that are named after him, things he discovered. What about the tapir? The tapir is from wood cutting, I know. Where is it?
Below the tiger. Yeah, it was a baby tapir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Clouded leopard named after him. Clouded leopard.
No.
All right.
What?
He name, I don't know, because very confusing. He names some of these is subspecies actually. So you can jump to where you can explain that he named the long-tailed macaque actually is subspecies, right? Yeah. And then the one named after him, they want to say the sick joke is of course is the guy hired who said Tuan, he said the one actually discovered the flower, right? Or you never know his name.
Abdul Muhammad.
No. Then so it's Abbott, is it Abbott? The name suddenly appeared. No. Who's the guy who describes the botanist, right? And he named it. So essentially Raffles facilitated, encouraged. Really not for him, then these things, a lot of these expeditions won't happen.
Actually, yes, no, he funded the expedition that they discovered the refugia.
So if not for his specific interest, really they won't find lah. So the name after him is okay. Because but you want to feel anti-colonial, you want to whip up anti-colonial thing. You say it's the orang asli, the tuan like that. Who remember him, right? In fact, recently they're sharing this video, right, about Wallace's sidekick, right? Yeah. The Malay scientist. Yeah. So go take a look at the video. It's interesting. Then after you get them all like fervently like damn the British, then you explain how if you don't take interest, really we it doesn't surface lah. So and see you explain this is why the new museum is called Chian Natural History Museum. So anyway, I don't know. Let's not talk about this. But the old man.
You forgot the money.
No. Really, you can explain. Raffles here is the same as Lee. I got no issue with it being called Lee Kong Chian Museum. Ultimately, you want people to come, interact, understand issues. We got bigger fish to fry. 6 extinction, right? So you call whatever name is fine. But I'm fine with this because the old man actually stood there and said, we'll do it. And actually the rest of his family, they all think like, what the hell? Old man funding a museum? One of my friends said, I had a chat with him for something. He's very old school, still keep his things in all funny-duddy folders and all that. And he's the only one who's interested in this. The rest of the family is like, why are we doing this?
There's some new building in NTU also coming up, right? Under Lee Kong Chian.
Never mind, that one you don't talk about. Don't talk about NTU.
Funding everything.
NTU is no, I mean they've always funded. They have a consistent history of funding. What else is funded with this guy's name?
Some of the medical school, the new medical school.
No, not the new place. The library reference section. So it's actually quite critical things. Where's Joel? So the model is not lit properly, but. But only I think the model just say, yeah, this one you can come next year and see. Let's carry on. Mistletoe. Yeah. So this one under mistletoe you can. That's a Western tradition and this is a Chinese mistletoe. So you figure it out, then you decide.
Yeah, the story of the hemi-parasite.
Oh, this is the dinosaur.
The dinosaurs.
Okay, everyone. Okay, listen up. You see there are some there are some very sad plants here. Can anyone give them some attention? What you want to say?
Adrian.
Toes.
One of our press plants. Yeah, so under the group is the Sinu herbarium. Each herbarium has its code. There's Sing and Sinu in Singapore, so Sinu is within the department. And that one started in what, 59 or something.
Interesting.
Still around, right?
Yeah.
We're close already.
Huh?
We're close.
That means visitors, right?
There is a herbarium.
Nobody cares whether
Okay, let's
Choose
move
this phone.
It was
This
a
phone not
university teaching
nice.
collection,
Yeah, this one
but
very
those
well.
collections
So
are of
kiddie.
great value now. Why?
Getting colder.
Bird collection. Avian collection.
Hey, this is new.
Oh, this is
Seladang.
Seladang. No, this look
Look
very American. Look very.
Really? It's a.
You look very Western to me.
Hey, the
that's the boa.
Oh, don't follow me.
This used to be the corridor. This used to be the corridor.
Sprucing the place up, especially for the last hurrah, so that they can really get a sense of the fact that we're moving.
This used to be the corridor outside.
yeah.
It's a gift from the New Zealand High Commissioner or something like that, right? Was it?
Not the elephant, right?
No. Boa.
It is what?
So basically, you saw where the turtles were, right? I'm going to get Calvin to open it up so that you guys can come through the door. So you can imagine from this side. Because the other alternative is a walk through the office, and I'm sure the museum staff won't want that. So they'll happily do that, they'll open it up. So this is the dry collection, the compactors that Siva talked about earlier, the Japanese compactors and the collections they put up, right? And this is where we keep our dry specimens, bones and skins and... No, we're going to have new compactors. So I suggest we open up a few,
Yeah.
or maybe we can set up stations here again.
Okay, in the dry collection, we will have a couple of cabinets open, and the point behind it is to simply illustrate that museum collection, how it's kept, the difference from taxidermized, and then it will be something colourful or dramatic, like either the animal is big or it's colourful. You don't have to give a talk about the biology.
Okay, the other thing is that the lights, right, they're not broken. So we never so I think that we can also do the easiest way, because it's the shelf that is nearest the light source. So pita.
You know the orange tab?
This one.
This one. This is the one which is...
The green one.
actually I don't like doing it because every time it's the same drawer that you open.
Yeah.
The colourful one.
The colourful pitas. So you can say that go down all this the way of this row, right? You can see rows and rows of cabinets like that.
Okay, so sorry, excuse me. So you know when you're showing this, what I suggest you do, say you talk about, okay, in a museum collection, animals are not taxidermized; they'll take up too much space, so they're compressed, laid out, and it's we're very careful about. I mean, this is where you get numerous of single species, different locality, lah. And then you invite them to stand around. We'll just look at one. We try not to expose this to light. The ones we pick out for the display are the ones we sacrifice. Of course, those lights are UV stopped, so that minimizes the bleaching, lah. And then you invite them to come in around you so that they are well positioned, and then you can open the drawer. Okay, so you open the drawer. Always use two hands. Then just open like that, leaning against your hand. And then you come to a stop. Then you let go. Okay, and then they cannot touch. Say if there's arsenic in it, so it's not good for them also, and of course it will degrade the specimen. But of course I see many people handle specimens with their hands. So and then they can peer at the label. So but if the fellow is coughing and all that, I say, excuse me sir, can you just so create some drama. but really like, you shouldn't be coming in coughing into deep dry specimen. Many of them have quite a bit of impact actually. So Kate's got maybe got lifelong work. Hey, how are we hiring Kate?
She's gone. She's in there.
She's like, I mean, it's good that we got. That's the big Achilles heel lah. So it's good that we got. Kate Pocklington. She's a Meryl type character.
She's a
So you know, this one all Mr. teach me 1987. The two-hand thing and all that. Huh? The care with, that means from day one, the curator is already thinking about when the system degrades. And it started degrading after I left the museum, which means that from 1987 to around 1990, I leave museum 99. You know, oh, it's only 10 years. 12 years. Yeah. Oh, it lasted 12 years relatively frustrating. The yellow, this thing, this is the kick bar, the safety bar. So if someone on the outside is trying to kill you and is giving out evil laughter, you don't have to sprint down, or you just kick the yellow bar.
There's a siren, right?
Huh?
There's a siren.
You stop, so you won't.
No, but you're so
You go faster. You go faster. You go faster.
Yeah. So actually, I think we should try to show them the compactor moving with the lightning thing. It's you're going to leave the museum already, right? But then let it do is
Open.
So the MOA. The MOA is mounted in this pose, but it probably this is the pose. Of course, you know this is a very famous bird because it got hunted to extinction. I mean, this is probably why there's no chicken in New Zealand, because the Polynesians came and holy cow, big chicken! Then no need bring tell them no need bring chicken. Then they hunted, went on raiding parties, and they cooked every last one to death. I mean, it's like these ideas that the ancient man is in harmony in the nature, you know, crap. Our species just is the seed of the earth's destruction, right? It's the end point of evolution, self-evolution. Yeah.
Let's do the Agent Smith monologue. We are human beings are a virus.
No, but even Attenborough goes at there's only two ways out, right? So one is that one. That one goes to office. Beyond office is what?
The lift.
Hey, Robina, try that door.
That one is
Can you
the
open
office.
it?
Oh yeah, office then the lift.
And yeah, there's another door to the.
So that one, you know, exit door should not be locked. I mean, you can definitely get through an exit door, right? Of course, the other more dramatic thing is you take this table and you fling it through the window.
Got grills. Not gonna get through. Unless
Then you use the dinosaur head.
you're sponge.
Then you use
This time I work.
because you were told very carefully to be very cool, right? You can't just walk out the door.
Just press the compactor.
So the guy brought it to me and I was like, okay, whatever lah. Then later on when I was teaching, you know, Origin of Life and all that, actually this is the cool specimen I have. But you know, it's a bit heavy to bring to LT lah. So this one, yeah lah, she wanted to dispose of superstitious waste. Anyway, once you've got them all looking at that, then you can say, what's here? Let's take a look. Then you open and got a dinosaur leg. These are all the cheesy party tricks, right? I mean, really it's last hurrah lah. Like, you never know what you may see around the corner.
in a crate. This is so cheesy. So this is the part where you have to be careful. It's quite narrow.
But you walk down slowly, then they all can't walk faster lah.
This is the next leg. That's easy. Yeah.
And then watch your step at the bottom of the thing.
Is it? Hey, watch your step. Then you'll be the not so lucky day.
She'll probably have something out.
She'll have some insects.
Oh my god, the smell.
And this just from the outer part, you know, it's not even the room itself. So there'll be a molas and insect thing there lah.
Yeah, really. If you fall on the step, you'll be the not so lucky
Oh yeah.
day. You'll be the what?
Not so what?
You'll be the lucky day. And the not so lucky day.
Is this your lucky day?
You started it.
The drawer that's labeled lucky day.
So over here is the crack.
You got present inside.
Yeah.
It's your lucky
Hey,
day.
the Zentik's door open lah.
Can we not look at crabs? Can we look at other things?
Hey, walao, I want to let crabs.
No, you.
I want to let opportunists.
No.
I only want to let opportunists.
We can look at some
The
of
same
the
Japanese vendor.
No, I want Okay, here the wet collection, we will also look at mammals.
The green box is
But-
red and black.
Remember, you don't really need in-depth knowledge, right? It's just general audience. So maybe you have a crab shelf open, reptile shelf open, and then the mammal one. I know we got the mammal one
radio
open, the
station
reptile
you
one adjacent. So we just going for wow effect. I mean, I think this is fine, even for this.
The microscope is a special.
The new museum is very good.
No, I mean we need something. You just identify. No, that's visible to look at. We need things which are big. You know, a big. No, not that big, but you know, if the crab is big, if the shrimp is big, the lobster is big. Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's not that that's there. And then we just need, so can you identify like maybe 1 or 2 spots? Not now. And then the mammal one is open now because the furry animal in wet collection is quite depressing. Yeah, there's some little thing.
We can always do snakes and reptiles.
That's that chicken what? Chicken it's supposed to look like a rooster, yeah. Can't remember. Right. It's
Not able to. What the
yeah. Okay, so major expeditions to the region, also local lah.
Over here.
Survey.
Oh, our expedition shelf is here.
And you can tell them things like the Chek Jawa collection is also here. So this mammal section will be open. And
We have an expedition shelf.
okay. Yeah, it's all packed up lah. What was it?
Yeah, from boss office.
So you need to brief people about this sign. Hassan, come here and read this sign. Okay. Is there a grill on that window?
I'm here to brief you, but don't brief too deeply.
How's your lung capacity? Half a minute, no. Then must go through all the maze.
Fireman to find your body.
It is like snake and ladder.
So this one, if you hear the freon alarm, you take this chair and then you smash it up. I always wanted to do it. I plan for fire escape at F1A, right? It involves the class, because you have heavy chairs, lobbing the lab grass through the window pane, then we slide down onto the
CMK.
Do you think that this is, isn't this contravening building safety laws? Okay, for those of you who have a building safety inclination, the railing I think it's new. I don't recall.
It's new.
It's new. No, but was it a railing before? No.
No.
So in the old days, you just race down.
This was just.
Now got railing. Then when you reach the bottom, there's a trip stair. Yeah. That's part of safety, you know. I don't know what.
Last year.
No. Now this is to contain the spill. But if you go overseas and all that, the ground will slope to drainage and all that. So we went on a multiple museum tour. One of the things we didn't talk about is all these things like. Then when he came back, I talked to the Oshi guy. So when he was at the conference overseas, he went and talked to the building estate manager. Conclusion is, we need a new building. You cannot retrofit the building to comply enough, but all of the new things is intervening measure. But one of the practical problems it means that alcohol storage needs to be dispersed, and in overseas museums, many of them, the wet collection is off-site, separate location. And then some of those fish scientists love it because they are away from rain and then they just look at the bottles. Yeah, so I think it's where was it? Kansas.
No, I don't know. Smithsonian.
Kansas or something. You get to the fish collection. You're going right to the marine unit. So all the soldiers will come to attention and then you do a left turn. You do a right turn and then it's the fish unit. That's how Ulu it is. You know, it's far away. And actually that should be the way for us as well. So what you're seeing here is all, hey, your shoelace need to
The
tie.
library people are heaving a sigh of relief that we're leaving.
Yeah, finally the books are safe, no more alcohol.
No, it was paper and flammable together in the same building. And with a fire alarm that was disconnected in the public gallery for many years. Until we started doing common exercises. My parting gift was to get the fire alarm reconnected. Oh, he came, investigated. I said, when I was a student studying in that corridor, and the fire alarm went off in chemistry. Alvin went to cut the head off once.
My head
But-
bigger than this.
But then the marine biologist he was with said it's not coming to my car. So then he tried to hide it somewhere, but it came out in Chinese press now. So they went and they cleared it off the beach, and then we called them, we tracked it down to Halus, and then we told Halus we'll come and dig it out, and we got gear. So Tommy and I got gear, and we already decided what to do when we acquired. We had no idea how we're going to put the body onto the pickup lah, and then the best part is we borrowed the botany pickup somewhere. Then and then we are going to cook it in the botany garden. Okay, so you know we got nothing better to do, right? Then Halus called us lah. Then they say too late, it got compacted. So from their estimate, the whole thing be dust already. So the compaction and go on is kind of serious. So we lost that specimen lah. Then this one was East Coast windsurfer, told a friend, told an undergrad, so we heard to it. And then we went out, it was already in the dumpster. Luckily at this time we know to liaise between, liaise with MParks and then MParks. No, at MParks I think is Pauline Tan, one of our grads lah. So she liaised with the NEA people, they didn't dump. But it's already in the dumpster, so while we were extracting, they were actually throwing rubbish on the other end. And this was in quite bad decay, so after some time, we managed to wrestle the dugong head out. And we brought, don't know what, parang and all that, all useless. It was a serrated blade that allowed us to cut. But luckily it was quite rotten already. If not, we couldn't have done it in fresh specimens.
5 days, I think, right? The guy said.
No, it was more.
More.
Yeah, I think more. Because when we went to Tekong, that one was supposed to be... Yeah, so by this time I was smart lah. When we had Tekong, I told them, tie it up, we'll come the next day. Then I went to Tanks and bought proper knives. I called Cynthia lah, and then told her, she gave me advice which, yeah, I think. There's two lah, a German knife and a Japanese knife. And then we did proper slicing, but I made a mistake. What was the mistake? So I bought two knives. I went down and... So why you think about it, right? A chef, how do they function? They're not just cutting, then they got that thing going, they're sharpening the knife. Always keep the blade. So I'm not a... So is that basket is that Cynthia, I never give proper advice. So I think she cut like carrot, then let go. Yeah.
Next time use ceramic.
So when I was finished, Kelvin gave me this time he had the glove, so I had the inner glove, and then with the longer glove, and so we were.
What happened to that dugong?
And then the dugong was then recovered by. Okay, we didn't expect the dugong to be so fresh, So then carved out the stomach and then the gut. This is the 2001 dugong. This one is what?
01.
This 2001. The later one is 2011. No, can't
No.
be.
0506.
Yeah, 05, 06. I'm not sure. So that one, we took out the stomach, took out the gut. Each had 18 kilograms of seagrass. We, you know, the team I was with is like Mr. Yo. He ready for everything. He said, "Hey, we got to dissect and take it back." He said, "Okay." Then we are in the burning hot sun in reclaimed land. You know how hot that is. And then we only had black trash bags, so everything was festering. When I came back, opened the bag, I was hit by a wave of gases. It was terrible. It was so, but you know, we were like, and then we are, as we are carrying 2006, as we are carrying the trash bag, it's dripping with fluid and all that. But who else was there? It was like Abigail, Zihan. It's like, okay, man, let's do it. They're like, okay, let's do it. So that kind of team, you can do anything. You know, they won't flinch at anything.
But that one didn't keep the skull. I thought you kept the skull.
We kept the skull. So you know, I came back. Calvin is already prepared. We put it into a tank, and then the skeleton. We made a mistake again. We didn't expect it to be in good condition, but we needed a mesh bag. Really need a mesh bag when you bury skeleton. And so the skeleton wasn't in the mesh bag. When they finally went back to recover it, Mr. Yu went to recover it or somewhere else, it had moved, it had spread out. So we do have an incomplete dugong skeleton. Do you know where it is? I don't know whether Kate has.
I think there is one set of skulls.
No, I mean skeleton.
I think there's one.
Maybe it's the one that, so that's a fresh one which so we are inexperienced. Subsequently, there were burials of dolphin and all that at Labrador Park. Those would have just spread with the moving sand. But you live and learn. Go home. So for sure, the fire alarm did not go off in the museum. Because the curators are all told, I already changed all the locks, so curators all told, you just leave the building. I said, it's your responsibility to abandon shit. Right? You just burst through the door closed behind you. So, they heard a faint bell far away, and they were as Spinellis. Like that. And I was saying, I don't think the alarm worked. So it turns out when they built the public gallery, they disconnected. And they didn't connect back until I told them your alarm is not connected. That was 2007. So 7 years we didn't have alarm. In a building which had fires in chemistry and behind us. Yeah, there were 2 or 3 buildings. 2 or 3 fires. The first fire that I know of was 98. Mrs. Yang coming back from lunch, discovered signs of it, evacuated. But her staff was still here. Then she came up and got everyone to get up. Then there was another one at chemistry. Chemistry had a couple of fires.
Organic lab.
So don't shine on specimen. Okay, but for direction can lah.
Actually bring out, like I'll clear this table.
No, you don't understand. It's not for ease. I don't care about convenience of viewing. It's the thing, you stop here, okay, the light's not working, it's good time, we gotta move, Then you follow me. Please, your light don't shine on the specimen, it will cause damage. It's all the drama thing.
Wait, is there a ghost?
Wow.
Tiger like the skull.
No. The other way to do it is you have this prepared.
Yeah.
Then you say, young man, can you go and open the door first? What's behind that cupboard? I know it looks very cute. It looks like my cat when I'm stalking it behind the curtain.
It was a rug.
It was a rug.
It's a rug.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, I'm the layman audience. My reaction will be exactly what you all get. So cute! The real tiger. The real tiger run.
Tiger rock.
What happened to plant species after loss of bird dispersal?
Yeah.
Brother, this is the question you have to ask about things like elephants. Who cares about the bird? Really, right? You just think of elephant, ivory trade protection, all that, but they are reseed dispersals of a different category.
Okay, open on the day of the
and rate. That's why you know there's like the urban class I think we are not going to recover, right?
Just
We will
very
never
standard
recover what.
dollars that you open.
Disperse birds?
It's we've gone past that, right? So
How do you disperse birds?
what?
What is a bird?
You box
Bird
bird
disperses, yeah.
Bird disperses.
There's a siren on top of the building when the minor congregate and
Angry birds. Angry birds. Can lepak. The trebuchet. The trebuchet. There's an animal with a tail. It's a trebuchet.
Then what is that? What skull is that? So you must bring a long stick. Then they're like, the guy is like, what's that? What? Tip the whole thing over. Then the skull fall on his head. Then it's wrong. Casualty. They just keep under the table. Don't mess with the museum specimen. The handle thing don't work right. Then you blow. I don't know which way to blow.
Hindu ceremony.
Huh?
Hindu ceremony.
Then the Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings, like the Brazil, you know, the plumber will come through the glass.
So you guys will exit from here.
Okay.
But I need to lock the door for me because I think I wrote quite a wrong key.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll see you outside Kate's room.
Outside where? Yeah.
Kate's room.
Depending on the audience, you decide you can go and try lucky draw. I think most of the cabinets are locked.
Today, you're lucky day.
So both container case with glass case, the same kind that you see in University Malaya, I think they still have theirs lah. Ours we have to give up a lot of those space occupying. Yeah. So the thing is, like during my time, you take the lift, then the lift will inevitably stop at level 3. The door will open, pause, and then the door will close. Then we say, is Charlie going back lah? We heard the story from Murphy that in Bukit Timah when they sit in the staff lounge, after hours or whatever, and then they will hear creaking of the furniture. So they used to say that was Charlie lah. So during my time, I connected the old story with our skeleton. So we said that is Charlie. So Murphy's Charlie may not be the orangutan Charlie lah, but how many lonely souls you have, so we put them together. And then the lift stopping on that floor was quite interesting. I remember once I'm taking the lift and Jaswan Singh and all that was in the lift, and then we were talking, and then the door opened, and then there's complete silence. Because if you tell the story often enough, you're working late at night and all that, and when the lift door open and nobody presses the bell, then it just gives you time to pause lah.
Did you get a particular feature?
No, it's this one.
Heritage. Yeah, you can tell the whole story.
Yeah.
If Kate is here, she can do it. If not, okay. Hello, everyone listen up.
Hello.
So you know about, because this one you talk about heritage, a story from Bukit Timah gets linked from professor to student to the orangutan skeleton outside labs. Can you imagine there were these big, huge cases outside labs? Yeah. There was one with all the ikan parang and all, and then this guy was there lah. Then when we opened the gallery, of course we chongkong everything, right? And then this used to be in the electrical outlet door. So you have to open the door, look inside to see. And actually one hand was up. One hand was up on a branch in the original mount, and inside the door, I think Kelvin cocked up the thing, so he put it inside the bag. It was hidden away lah, but we made a story out of it. Then it disappeared, and now Kate is restoring it. Now Kate has felt a presence in this room, which is why those fish are there.
Actually, it's just a fish on the right. Because the one on the left is kept because.
Then we talk about the right. The one on the right is what? So Kelvin, is it Kelvin? Kelvin passed away, right?
Yeah.
So Kelvin is extremely superstitious as well, which is why we have many toilets, many terrapins in the toilet. Last time he didn't want to kill because So anyway, so Kate felt a presence.
Yeah, within weeks of her arrival.
And so
It was Charlie.
I need to spell it out to you. She felt a presence. Yeah. Okay. So then the fish is to.
According to Malay folklore, the flying perch is some species that would sacrifice itself to
battle evil spirits. Because the Malays in the past they keep climbing perch or they have climbing perch. At night you find the fish on the ground, like wiggling, and because they can do that, so they associated it with coming out of the water to fight evil spirits.
Oh, then the snakehead can do it too. Because when I was in the dungeon, there's a lab on the first floor. It was called we call it a dungeon lah. We even put, I got Kelvin to draw, so you draw like the eyes in the night. And I really, I scrub wall everything. It was quite nice lah. Then there was some snakehead project going on, and then at night I'm in the room. Then you hear the doo doo because we put a wooden plank and a rock and then the snakehead boom came knock through. Yeah, then you'll be flapping on the floor. Then you have to grab the guy and dump him back in.
So this one is because she's working on that fish now, on restoring that fish.
So one is a model and one is a talisman.
Model.
Yeah.
Okay, this is also now you must mind you, these stories may have some credence, right? Because we lost a box of Toddycats shirts.
Yeah, this one is it?
White one.
Yeah, lah, this one.
Okay. Completely disappeared along with the t-shirt maker's sample t-shirt as you're preparing for the next one. So you've never been able to meet that man again because you lost all his samples. So Grace Lowe, who was handling it, he still feels guilty. But one day we will find it.
Wearing a t-shirt.
Robin has a theory because Robin Blackburn works here as an archivist. He's very Englishman, very quiet.
Archivist?
Yeah, he's helping to send all of these things, right? So sometimes he comes into the library, so he thinks that maybe it's him sometimes. He comes in, he helps himself, then he goes out. So Kate's the presence that she felt. He's very quiet, Jack.
But Mr. Yo used to stay overnight in the wet collection. I'll be over here in the what is now the education unit. So the museum always has had a presence of the staff.
What is that fish called? The model.
Huh?
Knife fish.
So in an emergency, please don't run out that door. It's very far away and there's a lot of obstacles.
Zombie land.
Although 1 year, the Cambridge Walk for the first years, they went down there, right, and then they came down and they came through this door. Because it was raining. So they cut through IMCV and then it comes out through this door. It's kind of cool. That was like the museum tour we were supposed to have far away, Oh, so please keep an eye on your people. If you see got those people like to lean against the table and all, right? Then what you must do? Hello? It's a museum, please don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only going to tell you once.
Lean is actually a specimen underneath.
Yeah, everywhere there is something, you see. So no, I'm more afraid of this one. Okay, no need to pretend also. People like Anand Anand bumped into this, right?
Yeah.
Anand bumped into the skeleton, right? Last time Pasir Panjang, he's the one who triggered the alarm on the fence. So I think that, hey Joel, this guy is maybe more klutzy than you.
Klutzy day.
Yeah.
I think if you size up your group, right, like if you have groups where the children are very, very
I don't have children. Toddycats.
some of the kids,
Mine is only Toddycats.
some of them have kids. If they're like very young and they're running around and they maybe use your judgment, don't come here.
No, you just tell them, excuse me man, this child needs to be
Restrained.
restrained. This child needs to be restrained. We can provide you with tape.
Or Raffles.
Hey, but listen, okay, it's not a joke. Okay, it's not a joke. You have the responsibility to ensure. Okay, everyone listen up, listen up. In case you're confused, don't be confused. You have a responsibility to ensure that nothing screws up, because this is not a tour that they need to be on. So if they're coming and they are a little bit clumsy and all that, you must intervene and say, you know, you can't go further.
You
Okay?
get ushers to lead him out gently and
No, what you should
Milo.
do is, okay, I'll give you a task. You read everything on the
No, let's not joke about it, please. You need to be, you are going to feel very awkward about it. How are you going to tell somebody they need to buzz off? The Toddycats are younger, they're not going to be that great at it. Then we just say, you have to find a way to park your people, pull this one aside, and say, you know, I think there is a risk, right? And we have made a commitment that we bring the public through and don't mess anything up. So, you know, I'm really not comfortable about that kind of thing. Of course, if Joel or myself around, we can do that kind of dirty work for you. But you know, we've done it before, brisk walk. You cannot clear leg 1 in 30 minutes. Angeline and Kokmini will wait for you and suggest you go for early breakfast while the rest of us disappear around the corner. Then, after they explain that and they say, want to come? No, unfortunately cannot. Then Kokmini and Angeline run. And then they want to follow, they cannot. So we've what?
No, I mean, if you try.
Just don't joke about it. This is a serious conversation.
There are some old newspapers that Kate found in the staff quarters. We can frame up and show people, like the Straits Malay Times.
Hey, this is not the National Library tour. Where's it coming from? Stomach on the tortoise got newspaper and then frame and like. Is it even interesting, the news?
It is lah.
For what time?
From 1890.
That one will be good for a museum display.
And very good condition because all arsenic man. All crisp and.
Hey, but now the Charlie look a bit artificial.
So new looking. Okay, so
Yeah, the library you come in and then you go out.